What the? Hey, there's no need to get shovey. Well, what do you mean I've got nice eyes? Thank you. Well, I don't know. Do you want to just hold hands first? Hello, welcome back to another episode of Minecraft The Journey. It's me, bugmancx, and I'm just here enjoying the spa. And you can only see the back of my head because unfortunately in beta 1.3 the F1 camera doesn't work anymore, so we're just stuck with that reverse camera mode, and oh well. But yes, look, recently I've upgraded my garden. I'm very happy with my spa and my fire pit and everything going on here. And I'm very keen as well to start upgrading again because we're on Minecraft Beta 1.3. Just like usually is the story with this series, we've been on this version for a little while and I'm really keen to get up to the next version and explore new features. But, hey, what are you doing up there on the tree? They get in there and they trample my garden here. Oh, they're so annoying. Anyway, yes, I'm very keen to upgrade, but there is still a bit of content from Beta 1.3 that I'd like to cover and go over. And in fact, there are some things that I want to revisit from the last episode to do with the bed and the weird zombie spawning when I was going to sleep, because I just love the feedback that I get from everybody. You know, this is a learning process for me. I am exploring the history of the game and doing research about all of the features and bugs and experiences that went on around this time whenever the versions were released. And sometimes I don't get all the information. So I just make the episodes based on the information that I have. And a lot of you point out interesting information that I overlooked or didn't know about. And this is exactly what happened with the beds and the zombies, and so I'd like to go back to my survival world that I had up in the last episode and revisit that and have a look at what was actually going on. Here's my little starter house in this temporary survival world that I had set up, and if we head on inside, let me show you what was going on. Now, I had the bed set up here right next to this wall, and what was happening is every time I'd go to sleep, I'd get a rude awakening in the middle of the night, so let's see if that will happen again. All seems calm so far. But, yeah, there we go. I'm counting on that happening. I haven't got a weapon, but there we go. He's dead. Now, why does that happen? Well, as we saw before, if I place the bed in the middle of the room, this doesn't happen. And the reason is because all of the blocks around the bed are at a light enough light level that they would prevent any monsters from spawning. But what the game does in this early version of the bed implementation is that if I place the bed at a time of night where monsters can spawn, like right now, if the bed is placed in an area where blocks around the bed are at a low enough light level to be able to spawn monsters, then I'm pretty much guaranteed a nightmare while I sleep. In other words, when I go to sleep, as long as these blocks are not bright enough, a monster will basically spawn next to my bed. But the question is, why is this happening when all of the blocks around the bed and all of these blocks here are all well lit? Well, it's happening because of a bug, and that bug is these blocks here. The blocks next to the bed are being treated by the game as blocks with zero light, and so therefore they're spawning in a mob at the most convenient location next to the bed, which happens to be right here. So if we do it again, it should happen again. And sure enough, it does. Hello. No, thank you, sir. So, I'm not sure if that bug gets fixed in the next version or the next version coming up, or even when the nightmare mode gets removed, but I'm sure that it will because that's not the behavior of the bed that we've come to experience. A couple of you also gave me feedback on my toilet vent, and you're right. It needs to have a black wool block behind it so that it looks like there's actually a duct in behind there. So if I pop this back here and break the blocks here. I need to break this thing as well. Come on, hurry up. Taking a long time. Thank you. There we go. Do I even have? I got the iron, but I didn't craft the thing. So, oh well. Let's do that out here in the kitchen. Need to craft up the door. And head back into the toilet. Now, if we change this out for a black wool block and then do the good old door trick. I didn't even bring a cactus. Wow, this is going so well. Okay, well, over here somewhere in here, I have tons of cactuses because I went out to the cactus farm out at the Alpha House and raided the chest. Okay, now we are set to go, almost, because we need to get rid of that. All right, you can tell how prepared I am today. So prepared. All right, done, 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 done. Let's put the wood back so that we can make it look all nice. There you go. It looks more like a darkened vent. Have a look over here. This is my brick factory starting to really come together now. I've just built up the shape with cobblestone and a bit of dirt here to help me get a feel for the building size and shape, and I'll eventually come through and replace all of these blocks with brick, and it should look amazing. I'll fill in the windows and we'll do the interior. There's a lot more to be done on that particular building. Right now I want to have a look at a bug in Minecraft that's been around since Minecraft Alpha, but I want to have a bit more of a play with this particular bug and see what creative things we can do with it. Now that particular bug has to do with blocks like the cactus. When you place a cactus like this, the game will check to make sure that the block that you're placing it on is a valid block for it to exist on. So for example, if we take this dirt and I try and place a cactus, it doesn't let me. And the same goes for sugarcane, in the reverse actually. I mean, sugarcane can only be placed on a dirt block that is next to water. So, whoops, not that one. So, like that. The game does this check to make sure that there's water around it and that it's on a dirt block and things like that. But what you can do is you can fool the game, you can bypass this check, and you can do that with flint and steel. So, for example, see, we should be able to place a cactus on this dirt block by replacing fire. So if we light the block on fire and then place a cactus, we're actually replacing the fire and preventing the game from doing the check that is necessary to determine whether the block that we're placing this on is a valid one. So up here, I can also put a cactus up on the ceiling by using water. And if I replace the water at the same moment, so that's in slot 7. I have to do this very quickly because water updates very fast. So if I do this and then that was too slow. Let me do it again. I need to pick up some fresh water. I need to be quicker because, like I said, it's very, very fast that we need to do it. So that's slot 7, okay. Just like that. So right click to place the water and then in exactly the same moment, switch my slots in the hotbar and then place the cactus. And have a look at that. We have now got a floating cactus. Now the trick with this one is that you need to make sure that there's a block above the cactus to prevent it from doing block updates, because the cactus will try and grow, and if it does try and grow, it'll also detect that there's no more supporting block and the whole thing will break. But have a look at that. We have access now to the bottom of the cactus texture again, and I've decided to try and find a few interesting ways of using this mechanic while we still have access to it. So one is over here with this tree, that tree. I have gone ahead and I've added some cactus fruit to this tree just to make it, you know, something a little bit different. And I've used exactly the same technique. I've put a water source there and then replaced it immediately with a cactus. And as you can see, because there are leaves above the cactus in each of these locations, it's impossible for the cactus to grow up. And so it just kind of looks like this tree is a different variation which happens to make some kind of prickly fruit. And I really like that. Now there are a lot of other blocks where we can use this. I've used it before in the Alpha House as well. You might remember where I created some bookshelves and then I used fire and then replaced it with sugarcane, or reeds as it was called at the time, and placed a single reed block inside the bookshelf, which ended up looking pretty good. So I'm hoping to find a few creative ways of using this. While it is possible to do this trick with blocks like the cactus and the reed here, there are a number of other blocks that you can do this with, like those in my inventory, but results may vary because, for example, I can plant a sapling like this, but it will eventually pop off, even though there's nowhere for it to grow. And I'm not sure why this behaves differently to the sugarcane or to the cactus, but unfortunately this one doesn't seem to stay. And it's the same with some of these others here. If I just do a mushroom, that one popped off very quickly, but that could have been because I was too slow. Let me try again. There we go, a floating mushroom, and there you go, the sapling has popped off. So unfortunately with the rest of these, it's all pretty much the same, although I haven't really tried the flowers yet, although I have a feeling that they might also pop off. I'll just keep my eye on that one and see what happens. But there is one more block that is very interesting that I can do this trick with, and let me just get another bucket of water, and that is the cake. I can do exactly the same trick, so it's in slot 6, yes, okay, let's do it. There we go. Floating cake. Oh, there goes the flower as well. The cake should stay there though, because why would the cake have any kind of updates? I wonder if I can take... No. So interesting how the block above caused an update to the block below, and I just lost my cake. Oh, that's so sad. But you could see what was happening there. The cake had no supporting blocks and there were no block updates happening anywhere, but as soon as I updated a block next to the cake block, it detected that it was in an invalid position and unfortunately broke. But I wonder, let me just get another cake and we'll have a look at this more closely. I've increased the height of this dirt block so that we can place the cake right here, and I want to have a look at the underside of the cake. So I need to do this nice and fast, so are we ready? Ah, done. Okay. And look at that. You get this kind of speckledy effect on the underside of the block. So although the cake is a very expensive block to create, we can actually see the underside of it from underneath, which I think is pretty interesting. And I wonder how we can use this in maybe a patterned build or a ceiling or something like that. Unfortunately, you can't place cakes next to each other because as soon as you place another block right here next to the cake, this one's going to update and disappear. But you should be able to do this in a checkerboard pattern, because as long as you make a template, all you need to do then is just go in and fill in all the gaps. A cake is less than a full size of a block, isn't it? Yes. So you'd also have these little gaps. But I don't think that matters. I think it would be still very interesting to see what this looks like in a ceiling build. Now I just need to find somewhere where we can use this in an interesting way. Well, unfortunately, I've been racking my brain. I've been wandering around the house, wandering around the fishing village, trying to find somewhere where I think I could use that texture creatively in a build. And unfortunately, I just can't think of anything right now, because most of the buildings that I've been working on and the tunnels and the access ways and everything are all largely decorated already. So there's just nothing where I can use the cake block. So I'm going to keep it in the back of my mind for anything that's coming up soon. For now, we'll just put that cake there because, well, that's where it belongs, in the kitchen. And there is one more thing that I do want to try with this block trick, and that is with rails, because I understand that this should also work with rails. I've practiced this a little bit and it does work, although it's been a little bit fiddly, so let me see if I can do it. Look at that, I can. So interestingly, how can I use that in a build? This has been very challenging. I'm trying to think up creative ways. How can I use a single hanging floating rail block in my kitchen build in a way that sort of makes sense and communicates what it's doing, or anywhere in the house in fact, but it's the kitchen which keeps drawing me, because I did make a little cutlery drainer over here, but this isn't really utilizing the trick, is it? This is just putting a rail on a block. So, I think the closest thing I could think of is up here. What I might do is knock out that torch. And so what are we? Slot 6. And we'll put it up here. Just like that. And now what we have is we have a hanging rack where you can put your pots and pans while you're cooking right here. We need to unfortunately now get rid of that torch because of symmetry reasons. Maybe we can... Nope, I thought that might happen. I'm going to have to figure out the lighting here because we definitely need to make sure that this place is lit properly. Whoops. There we go, put that back. Unfortunately, yeah, we've lost our lighting, but at least we have a hanging rack for our cooking utensils. Clay! Dig, dig, dig. Smelt, smelt, smelt. Craft, craft, craft. And place. There we go. 13 more brick blocks. Gonna take a long time for me to get that finished, I know it. While we're down here, I want to take a look at yet another change that has been added to Beta 1.3, and that has to do with the F3 debug screen. Now, we've all seen this before. It has the coordinates that have been added recently, and also that funky ticks per second graph down there to tell me how my game is performing. But in Beta 1.3, another feature was added to the F3 debug information, which we need to go and find. Now, if I head up this hill, I should be able to find some passive mobs somewhere, I'm sure. You might be able to actually see down there some little tags under the ground. What they've changed in this version is that every mob has a unique identifying number. Probably some sort of reference within the game so that the game can keep track of which mobs have spawned in, etc. I'm surprised there's nothing... There we go, look, there's a chicken. Okay, chicken, I can't read that. Thank you. You are mob number 1779128. Now, I'm not sure exactly how these numbers work or what they mean, but if I test this out in a brand new world, the numbers are extremely low. So I'm guessing it incrementally counts up, and maybe you're the 1,779,128th mob to have spawned into the game. I don't know, but it is a very interesting feature. As you saw, we can now see mobs that are underground, so I've got a fairly good indication of where all of the caves are beneath me and where all of the mobs are. What are these, for example? These two here, what are you? There's something there. Let's see if we can work out what it is. I don't know, we're going to have to dig down because those are very, very close, aren't they? Yeah, there you go. Look, I found a cave with some creepers and I'm going to leave them well alone. I'm going to, in fact, plug that right back up and leave it exactly where it was. I've been down here battling a few skeletons and making my way through the caves, and as you can see, I have a significant advantage because I can... because I can see exactly where all the mobs are. Oh, did you hear that? I see you up there. I see you, you see? Previously, I would have been frightened out of my mind, but now I just know exactly where you are. Anyway, I want to get down to the low caves, probably over here where all of these mobs are, or those mobs down there, to see if we can find the slimes. That's all I want to find in today's episode before we finish up. Just one slime, please. So I'm just going to dig down because I feel like it's going to be a bit more efficient, and see if we can break into these caves and find a slime. Come here, you silly little zombie. Attack me, go on, I dare you. Yes, as you can see, in this version, there is a bug where if a mob is standing at the same height as you and it's trying to inflict damage upon you, it will not be able to. So things like the creeper and the skeleton can still attack you because they fire projectiles or explode, but the zombie does melee damage and it's unable to do it. So I can just stand here as long as we're on the same level and I'm fully protected from the zombie. This is actually quite helpful if I do encounter one in the cave network because I'm relatively safe unless I jump up a block. Or down a block. There you go, yeah. It was able to inflict damage on me. But yeah, what an interesting little bug. That one gets fixed in the next version or the version after, one of those. But it has been interesting here in the caves. Also, I don't know if I mentioned it, but lapis, which we've seen before, used to only drop one piece of lapis per block, and now it drops several, so let's try that out. Oh, that's so much better, because this was just so expensive before. So I'm going to take... Oh, wow. Okay, we are definitely building up our lapis supplies. Very happy about that for if we need to dye 31 objects blue. Look at my armor. Oh, wow, okay. I've spent too long down here in the caves trying to find slimes. I don't think I'm going to find one before the end of the episode, but I am determined to find one soon. They were reintroduced to the game, so it's vital that we find them, right? As part of the journey and part of the exploration of these upgrades. But we've run out of time in today's episode, so I want to say thank you for watching, and a special thank you to my patrons as well. If you enjoyed today's episode, then feel free to leave a comment, leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done that already, and you know, all of those usual things that you're supposed to do towards the end of the video. But until then, I'll see you in the next episode. This has been bugmancx. You've been watching Minecraft The Journey. Bye bye.